Hey guys, I'm recording in my apartment today. This is our new format that we're giving a try, Dwayne and I. We're gonna separate twice a week. I'm gonna give you a topic at the beginning of the week that I'm gonna talk about and how it relates to nutrition, and then we're gonna do a cooking demo, a food demo, recipe, whatever together. And then at the end of the week, Dwayne is gonna give his take on this topic that I bring up at the beginning of the week. So we're gonna see how this works out. I'm here by myself, no Dwayne today, but sometimes this might be a little easier because I was realizing as I cook and we do the food demos, it's really difficult for me to talk about all the things that I want to talk about while cooking and making sure everything comes out right and we keep our food good and keep you entertained at the same time. I can go off sometimes and I don't want to get too wordy during our cooking demos because they take a long time as it is. So for those that want a little bit more about the science behind these things, you can watch these quick videos. Again, I want to keep these short as well. And I know not everybody wants to watch this kind of thing, but for those that do, here it is. So one of the things that I did want to say first was in the fig vinaigrette recipe video, I talked about some of the reasons why I started working in recovery, addiction recovery, and I said that there were not a lot of professionals in the field of dietetics that work in this area, but I will say there is one dietitian based in California that I've talked to a lot. I follow a lot of his webinars that are put out through the Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics. He has some stuff on YouTube that I listen to regularly. It's so informative. His name is David Wiss. He is a pioneer in this field, and I think he's doing amazing work. So I definitely want to say thanks to him, because without his knowledge, I definitely wouldn't have learned what I've learned so far about recovery and how nutrition relates to recovery, I should say. I also follow there's a doctor, his name is Corey Waller. I follow some of his stuff because he's really helped me understand about what drives us and the science behind like pain and how opioids are involved in pain or addiction as well. So that's been very helpful. I've contacted him to get some resources that he uses. So far I haven't been able to, but at least I have a lot of what he's put out as well. I do a lot of reading, journal research, like peer-reviewed articles that I get from the library database, different things online as well. So I'm kind of learning on my own as I go, but like I said, I have these other people in the field who know about this stuff. So it's been really interesting to learn about all of these things, and what I'm going to tell you on these weekly videos is by no means comprehensive. I think when it comes to neuroscience, scientists know just the tip of the iceberg on how the brain works, so I probably know like a snowflake's worth of that, and I just want to incorporate like a little bit of the science behind these things because people might not know where to go to look for them on their own. And if you ever want any of my references or resources, just let me know and I will give them to you. If you ever listen to any of Dr. Waller's work, he will say humans need 3 things in order to survive. We need food, water, and dopamine. But I say sometimes actually you might need dopamine first, because dopamine is what motivates us. It drives us to get food, to get water, and to do things that keep us alive as a species. Whenever you hear anything or read anything, listen to anything related to the neurobiology of addiction, the first thing that is discussed is dopamine and the reward pathway. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It's associated with the reward pathway of the brain, and some people like to refer to it as a pleasure chemical thing. It kind of gives us something that feels good, but in addiction research, motivation has actual chemical roots. In psychology, there's a form of motivation called incentive salience, and this type of wanting or motivation is generated by large neural systems that include the mesolimbic dopamine. This mesolimbic system is associated with the reward and dopamine pathways and includes the ventral tegmental area, the nucleus accumbens, and other areas of the brain such as the mesostriatal and mesocortical areas as well. So whenever we do take or have something rewarding, dopamine travels from the ventral tegmental area to the hippocampus and a memory is formed. So why is that important? Well, whenever we have something that makes us feel good, we remember it and we know where to go to get it next time. That goes for substance of abuse. It goes for food, right? If we eat something we really enjoy, we know where to go and get that food again. Drugs of abuse mimic or enhance the actions of our neurotransmitters, some in different ways, but ultimately they all affect the reward pathway and our dopamine levels that we've talked about today. And it's not only drugs of abuse. So this is where learning about this kind of thing as a dietitian is very interesting, because obesity, substance use disorders, and process addictions like gambling, shopping, and so many others all affect the reward pathway, and our dopamine levels. So there's a lot of overlap there, and learning about it has been very interesting. According to Dr. Waller, when we wake up in the morning, our normal blood dopamine levels are about 50 nanograms per deciliter. That gives us the motivation to get up and get our day started. Anything that makes us feel good increases our dopamine a little bit. This can be something like exercise or just a hug or a high five for a job well done. Anything that motivates us can increase dopamine levels. That's why we do things. And on a good day, if all these amazing things happen all at once, our dopamine levels can get up to maybe 100 nanograms per deciliter. Certain foods increase our dopamine levels. For some, different foods will work differently than others. Some people like sweets, some people like salty foods. Food can get our dopamine levels up to about 94 nanograms per deciliter, and sex 92 nanograms per deciliter. It's a little less. I'm not sure why. Maybe because we need to eat enough food in order to procreate, but that's just my opinion. Certain drugs of abuse will increase dopamine levels to over 1,100 nanograms per deciliter. So you can see why they become addictive. And then this repeated use will completely offset normal brain chemistry, and people still continue to seek things or substances that will increase dopamine levels. And normal things, once you've had those high levels, normal things are no longer rewarding. Establishing and maintaining sobriety is the first goal after detox, but people still want something that will increase dopamine levels a little bit. So a lot of times that will come in the form of highly palatable foods. Highly palatable foods are made with the trifecta of sugar, salt, and fat, and they are known to increase dopamine levels more so than healthy whole foods. So depending on where somebody goes for recovery, I've heard different things. Some places say just like load up on whatever you want, sugar, salt, fat, sweets, whatever, that works. But we know that long term, these foods can be detrimental to our health, not only for somebody in recovery, but anybody. So we want to look at finding ways to decrease the intake of highly palatable foods. And like I like to say for Dope Kitchen, we want to bridge the gap and replace these foods with highly flavorful foods. If you want to learn more about sugar, salt, and fat, and how it's not so healthy for us all the time, you can have a look at this book, The End of Overeating. I've had this book for a long time and only recently took it out again. It's by David Kessler. He talks more about the science behind what drives us to eat as well. When I talk to people who are longer into their sobriety or people who work in recovery, one of the things that they always tell me is like, wow, yeah, nutrition is so important. I didn't know it at the beginning, or I can see the benefit of it now. People need to make healthier choices, right? Because they know so many people just crave highly palatable foods, sugar, salt, and fat, these nutrient void, fiber void foods that don't give us any nutritional benefits, right? So hopefully my goal with this is not anybody who watches Dope Kitchen, maybe it can be somebody who's not in recovery, somebody who's new to recovery, somebody who's been in recovery for a long time. My goal is, or what we want to do is, we want to teach people, we want to help people. Whenever somebody's ready to make healthier choices, we want to be here for you, okay? For different people, those stages of readiness come at different times. So you can always come to Dope Kitchen, have a look at our recipes, the foods that we're using to bridge that gap. Like, I like to use some foods that are naturally sweet. We've used sweet potatoes. We've used foods that are naturally salty, tasty foods, maybe not always 100% nutritious all of the time, but things that are whole foods that you can put together that taste great and give you some nutrition. Look at healthy eating for long-term recovery. Eating healthy foods, like the right foods at the right times, in the right proportions, can help prevent relapse, and eating in this manner can help balance brain chemicals so that we seek less rewarding foods. This is just a tiny bit, a little intro of information on the neuroscience, the neurobiology of addiction, what drives us to do what we do, make the decisions that we make, what motivates us, how it motivates us. So in some ways also, this is simply my spin on it, what I've learned as a dietitian. I hope that you will continue to think about healthy eating long term. We know the benefits, not only, like I said, for people in recovery, but for anybody, nutrition is important. So let us here at Dope Kitchen provide you some healthy and nutritious, flavorful meals whenever you are ready. And if anything, always come watch, like, subscribe, share our videos. Even if you don't make our meals, hopefully you get a little bit of laughs. Like I said before, not so much from me, maybe more from Dwayne. Maybe you guys are missing him today, but you'll see him soon, okay? So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want any reference materials, if you want to learn more about this, I'll be happy to share them for you, okay? Because I know this is a very quick intro, and definitely more could be said about this subject and this particular topic about dopamine, okay? So thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you soon.